Hey, how you guys doing? It has been a while, a long while. I apologize. I was just burnt out after last season, and I needed a little bit of break. But here we are. The Eagles are days away from their first regular season game of the 2024-25 season, and you guys got to be excited. I'm excited. It's been 7 long months since we had some football. Phillies are doing well. We're happy about that. But you guys know there is nothing like Philadelphia Eagles football. And there is so much to get to tonight. So tonight is going to be a Talk to 'em Tuesday. That means for any of you guys who are new that, listen, I'm taking your questions, your comments, so on and so forth, all night long. It's just going to be you and me talking Birds football, talking about the upcoming season, all the things that go along with that. And there's a lot to get to. You know, we want to get past that bad taste we had in our mouths last year at the end of the season when the Eagles got just manhandled by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But it's a new season, a lot of new expectations. We got a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, a lot more talent in a lot of different areas. And this team has a lot of potential. So understand, I'm cautiously optimistic about this football team. Why cautious? Because anytime you have the type of collapse that they had last year, you got to be just a little bit, leery and weary about how all of that went down. Howie's done a phenomenal job. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. He went out and got us Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. Tip of the hat to Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox. What a phenomenal career both of you guys have had. I just want to salute you guys for, bringing the first Super Bowl to Philadelphia, but I want to salute both of you guys for having a hell of a career over the years that you guys are Philadelphia Eagles. So now you go back to Howie. He went out and he brought in Kellen Moore, a proven offensive coordinator, to take over the play calling for this upcoming season. And I'm waiting with bated breath for Friday night at 8:15 to see what this new offense is going to look like. We go out and we bring in Saquon Barkley. What a hell of a sign that was. And most people are shocked that Howie went and made that move. But I think he makes this offense, one of the most potent offenses in the National Football League. For the first time in his career, he's going to be playing behind an offensive line where he doesn't have to make his own yards. They're going to open up some holes, and he's going to create a lot of big explosive plays for this offense, not only in the run game, but what he can do out of the backfield. So now you legitimately have 5 receivers within the offensive scheme of how they want to do business. I got to talk about Jalen Hurts because he's the linchpin. There's been a lot of conversation about him and a lot of doubt, a lot of shade thrown at him. Let me give you guys, some numbers, because at the end of the day, I feel like Jalen had a bad year in one specific area, because if you look at his yards, he had more yards passing this year than he had in 22 during the Super Bowl run. He had one more passing touchdown than he did in 22. He had more rushing touchdowns, 15, than he did the previous year. Now, quarterback rating wise, he was down, way down. And the biggest issue for Jalen, in my opinion, was turnovers. So in 2021 and 2022, Jalen had a total of 15 interceptions combined in those 2 years. Okay. During the 22 year, he only had, I think, 6 interceptions, 9 the previous year. Last season, he had 15 interceptions. And that, in my opinion, is really what played Jalen's play more than anything. Then you look at turnovers from the previous year, he had 6 fumbles and he lost 0. Last he had 6 fumbles that he lost. All right. So now when you put those together, Jalen Hurts was responsible for 21 turnovers in the 2023 season. That is so hard to overcome, and it puts your offense at such a depth. Now, I can understand the trepidation and the questions about Jalen as far as, his play last year, because believe me, he wasn't the only one who played bad. There was enough blame to front office, all the last guy on the roster. But I do think that turnovers are fixable. There are quarterbacks who play in the National Football League who play really good football, but they have these years where, the turnovers drove. And then no matter how much they try to fix it, they can't fix it. So you're going to have off years from time to time where the turnovers are up. But if he can fix that, wipe the 15 turnovers away, I would venture to say that most people believe that Jalen Hurts had a solid year, not a great year, but a solid year. I think we have some technical difficulties. We're going to run to a commercial real quick, get it all straightened out. We'll be right back in a sec.
When you open the BetParks app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moments. It's the anticipation of another face card, the thrill of an extra spin, and the pure joy of a jackpot. It's all your favorite games at your fingertips. Plus, get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. You play for fun, you love to win. You bet. BetParks.
At Pond Lee Hockey, we're neither a pond nor a hockey team. In fact, I don't even know how to skate.
Cut.
We're the injury law firm that you want fighting for you.
With our vast network of attorneys across the country, we know the playbook on injury law.
It's how Pond Lee Hockey recovered billions of dollars for more than 100,000 injured and disabled workers.
And we know we can do the same for you.
So give Pond Lee Hockey a call. No other law firm will fight harder for you.
And you'll never pay a dime until we win.
Let's go. I'm back in my bag. I'm wrecking the wins and it's making them.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come, join our team.
All right, guys, I'm back. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Hopefully we got it all squared away. I want to make sure, that you guys are hearing everything unfiltered and the way it should be. Back to Jalen Hurts. Back to Jalen Hurts for a second. It's all good, man. My producer, he's working hard in the back. So anyhow, Jalen Hurts. I believe that the turnovers are fixable, and he wants to get this thing right, and he wants to turn it around, and I believe that he will. So, and then you take into account the coaching last year. The coaching wasn't its best. What is the biggest conversation that's been going on just recently about Jalen Hurts and what some of the issues are? Jalen can't handle zero coverage blitz. Well, let me tell you guys, what zero coverage blitz looks like. And maybe I'll break it down when we get to our whiteboard session tonight and kind of give you guys an idea of what zero blitz looks like and the challenges that you're facing. The first thing is the Eagles didn't run the ball enough last year. When Jalen Hurts got hurt early in the season, nobody really talked about it, but you could see that he wasn't 100%. He didn't have full explosion when he was running the football. That was pretty evident to everyone. He didn't want to make it an excuse, so he just played through it. But the Eagles could have done him a lot of good by running the football a little more and putting the onus on the offensive line to carry the day instead of pushing the envelope and asking Jalen to do more than maybe he was physically able to do. The other thing, the zero blitz, teams figured out that the Eagles' philosophy was anytime you got zero blitz, we're going to take shots down the field. We're going for, the explosive play. And when you understand zero blitz, if you got 3 or 4 guys in man coverage on the outside, okay, that means that you've got 8 or 7 guys in the box. That means the safety's coming. If the safety's coming and there's no safety in the middle of the field, which means zero coverage, then that means somebody's coming free because Jalen can't block for himself, okay? And oftentimes the defensive ends would get up the field and they would keep Jalen from escaping. And now you got a guy that's running right in his face, coming at him. Free, nobody to block him. Impossible to block him because you don't have enough numbers to account for the quarterback in zero blitz. On top of that, they had no side adjustments. They had no hot routes. They had no adjustment in the routes to allow Jalen to get the ball out of his hands quick and early to avoid the actual blitz. And now you couple that lack of adjustment along with the fact that you have, deep routes where receivers are trying to beat DBs deep and the DBs know that those are the routes that they're running, you got a recipe for disaster. Somebody's got to run across the middle of the field, running away from coverage to give Jalen someone to throw to. Someone's got to run a slant on the outside. Someone's got to run a quick out route from the slot position to give him an out where he can get the ball out of his hand right now and make a play. The Eagles did not do that. So when you combine all of these things together, that's problematic. That, in my opinion, is a part of. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to exonerate Jalen's play because Jalen's got to make better decisions. He's got to make better checks at the line of scrimmage. He's got to go max protection. That kind of stuff maybe is built into the adjustments. Maybe it's not. But at the end of the day, he's the one with the ball in his hand when it really matters. Okay. So you can either throw the ball away and punt, or you can take off and try to run. You can take the sack. But the thing you can't do is you can't turn the ball over. Okay. You can always live to play another down, but you cannot, I repeat, you cannot turn the football over as much as he turned it over last year. Okay. So he has some culpability in the way that they played, but a lot of the culpability, in my opinion, falls on the Eagles coaching staff for failing to give him the tools to be able to make the adjustments and take away what teams figured was the blueprint and how to really stop him and get him under control. Okay. I think we finally got us a slot receiver. Howie made a heck of a trade, went and got Jahan Dotson from the Washington Commanders. The guy's, his production hasn't been super great, but then again, we're talking about the Washington Commanders. And I don't know what the situation was, but the new coaching staff felt like he was an expendable piece. Now, how does a guy get drafted in the first round, a mid to early first round draft pick, spend 2 years in an organization, and all of a sudden he's trade bait? I guess Some people believe that, his attitude wasn't right in Washington, I've heard. His work ethic wasn't right, I've heard. But ever since he's been here, I haven't heard anything but good things about Jahan Dotson. Him wanting to stay with Jalen Hurts after practice to work on their receiver-quarterback connection. Things of that nature speaks a little bit different. And sometimes players just need a change of venue. They need a fresh look, a new environment in which to try to thrive. But I think that for the third wide receiver, and a lot of people have said, hey, we don't need him to be a game breaker. That's what we got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown for. I disagree, because that mindset, in my opinion, has created the lack of production at the number 3 slot wide receiver position for like the last 5 years. Instead of us investing in that position, going to get a guy who could be a difference maker there, we've tried to just piecemeal it with guys that we hope would get the job done. And I think that this move changed the entire mentality as far as the number 3 wide receiver position is concerned. And this is why. Football is about matchups, okay? And if you're going to commit your resources to taking away Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, well, guess what? Your slot receiver has got to win. Dallas Goedert has got to be a part of what you do on a larger scale. If you're going to take those 2 guys away, then somebody else has got to make the plays. And you can't force the ball to him. I don't care how much A.J. Brown calls for the ball and wants the football. There are situations where the game plan calls for us attacking the weak link. And if that matchup is a tight end or a small, slow safety on Dallas Goedert, or the matchup is for them to win in the slot with Jahan Dotson, well, guess what? You got to take advantage of that. You got to take advantage of that. Because if they're succeeding, now you make the defense refocus how they're trying to stop your offense. And now once they do that, now you can get the one-on-one matchups on the outside. It's no different to me than the actual running game. The running game sets up everything in the passing game that you want. And I get it. There are times in games where, you just have to come out and take advantage of what you can get in the passing game, and the run games become secondary. That's fine. But you can't ever, in my opinion, abandon the run game. Because sometimes you're going to have games where you're playing against teams that can't stop the run, that's inefficient against the run, where now you control the line of scrimmage, and now you got play action pass, you got bootlegs, you got misdirection, you got all of these different things that you can take advantage of from the passing game perspective. So they work hand in hand. Now, I'm not talking that the Eagles have got to be 50-50 run to pass. I'm not even saying they got to be 60-40 pass to run. I'm saying that somewhere along the line, they've got to get to a point where the run game is a 35% proposition and a 65% pass proposition. That's just got to be the way that they play. And I think that Kellen Moore is more tilted towards that than maybe Nick Sirianni, because one of the reasons why, in my opinion, why Kellen Moore got run out of Dallas is that he put all the onus on Dak Prescott after a while. And you had 2 good running backs, and they just were not running the ball well or often enough. There was not enough of a commitment. And over time, what wound up happening is that, teams began to defense them in a way where they could try to take away the outside and take away the passing game. And then oftentimes they had to revert back to the run game to get their pass game jump-started again. So I think that Kellen Moore has probably learned a little bit, for some of the practices that I've seen, the inter-squad scrimmage, at the link, they ran the ball quite a bit. So if their intent is to come out and throw the ball all over the map, they're surely not showing that in the way that they actually practice. So I'm looking forward to figuring out what their identity is going to be and how they're going to choose to do things from an offensive perspective. Let's talk about the offensive line. Jason Kelce, gone. Cam Jurgens steps in. You got Mekhi Becton, cast off from the Jets. Jeff Stoutland's got him. And now all of a sudden, seems like, he may have him turned around. The Eagles are going to have one of the biggest offensive lines And according to, some of the ratings out there, they have fallen from the top offensive line in the National Football League with Jason Kelsey retiring, and now they're the second best. That's still pretty damn good company. That's a still pretty damn good place to be. But at the end of the day, you got to let those big guys do what they do best. You want them to dominate the line of scrimmage. I saw a quote from Jaws today that says the Eagles have to play more physical. They have to embody the physicality of the game. Well, listen, I agree with Jaws. The way that you dominate physically is you run the football. You run the football because now you're attacking the line of scrimmage with your offensive linemen instead of having them kick all day long. The way that you dominate on defense is that you dominate the line of scrimmage by stopping the run. You dominate with physicality. That's how you establish yourself as a physical football team. So at the end of the day, the Eagles have everything right in front of them on the offensive side of the ball. Let's jump over to the defensive side of the ball before we start to talk about, before I open it up to questions. I think the Eagles have coveted Vic Fangio for like the last 5 or 6 years. They brought him in as an advisor the year before last because of, maybe 2 years ago, because of the way that the playoffs wound up. They, if they would have known that Jonathan Gannon was going to get the job in Arizona, they would have been in position, but Vic couldn't wait, so he went to Miami. Well, now, okay, if Jonathan Gannon was the branch and Sean Desai was the leaf, now we got the tree, okay? Now we got Vic Fangio. Let's see what Vic Fangio can do. I like what I'm hearing from him. I watch his press conferences all the time because they're very telling to me. First of all, Vic is a guy who really wants the Eagles to practice a little more. He wanted the players, his defensive players, to play in the preseason. He was kind of overruled, on some of that, but he's old school in his mentality. He's old school in the way that he approaches things. He's going to hold them accountable. He's going to hold them accountable to tackling, assignments, and he's going to hold them accountable to how they play. And if they're not getting the job done, you can best bet, he's either going to chew their behind or they're going to be sitting on the bench. And that's the way it should be in professional football. That's what a coach has to do. It's one thing, to motivate a team. It's another thing to hold a team accountable. Like, this is the standard. This is how we're going to play, okay? And everybody's going to play this way or you can't play, plain and simple, okay? That's the meritocracy of the game. The best players are going to play. And when you look across the board, especially at the linebacker and the secondary position, that's where I'm going to start. The Eagles have got linebackers now. They got Devin White. They got Zach Bond. You got Nakobe Dean, who, according to Vic Fangio, has been coming on and playing better. You got Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who's played well throughout the preseason. You got some guys now, and you got some depth where now you can create competition. So much competition for playing time that you're going to get the cream of the crop. You're going to get the best of the best. If a guy ain't playing and you put another player in, hey, guess what? It's his opportunity to show the coaching staff how much he wants more playing time. Step up and get the job done if you want more playing time. It's plain and just simply that, okay? More competition will bring out the best in the players that you have. And they got some pretty darn good players at linebacker, and they got some depth for the first time in a long, long time, okay? Let's talk about the secondary. You got Isaiah Rodgers on the outside opposite Darius Slay. We finally get CJ back. He shouldn't have never left in the first place. Howie should have been signed him the minute that he became a free agency. Water under the bridge. They got him back. I think he's a perfect complement to Reed Blankenship. The year of the Super Bowl run, they played off of each other extremely well. And then you got depth. Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks. They've got another year under their belt, more experience. If Avonte Maddox can stay healthy, you've got a guy that can play safety. You got a guy who can play in the slot. Sidney Brown at some point in time is going to come back. Again, you got so much depth on the back end that you're going to create enough competition that you're going to get the best out of the best from the players on your roster. Competition makes everything better. as far as your roster is concerned. When you're trying to build a championship team, guys have to know that if I'm not living up to the building, if I'm not doing my job, if I'm not carrying my weight, if I'm not, doing the things that the defensive coordinator requires of me, hey, there's a guy that's standing behind me that's chomping on my heels, and he wants my job. He wants added playing time. Well, guess what? The Eagles have got enough competition on the back end now that guys are going to have to play well, or they're going to have to get gone, or they're going to have to, get over there and get some splinters in their behind. Let's talk about the defensive line. Let's start on the interior. Shout out to Fletcher Cox. The defensive guys in the middle, they got their work cut out for them. I expect for Jalen Carter to take a massive step this year towards becoming even a great player. Jordan Davis, listen, we know he's not a pass rusher, but what he's got to do when teams try to come out and establish the run, he's got to be the difference maker in that position. He's got to do it. And the elder statesman, believe it or not, is Milton Williams. Milton Williams has been here for a little bit. So he, in my opinion, he's got to be the guy to step up because he's going to get an opportunity to play more. The last couple of years, he was so much of a role player that maybe the motivation wasn't there. The motivation is there that he can get added playing time. I would assume in nickel and dime third down situations that he's going to be the other guy on the field, with Jalen Carter instead of Jordan Davis. But they're going to have to step up in a big way because teams are going to challenge the Eagles running the football. I promise you, because they have not been a good run-stopping defense for the last 2 or 3 years. They just haven't. The year they went to the Super Bowl, they gave up 121 yards per game on average on the ground. That's not winning football. Even though they won and they got to the big game, the difference in the game in the Super Bowl was Kansas City running the football in the second half and the Eagles' inability to stop it. Okay? Let's jump out on the edge. First thing I want to say is that I thought letting Hassan Reddick go was a massive mistake. He was your best defensive player for the last 2 years. How are you going to replace 27 sacks over the last 2 seasons? They think that Josh Huff is going to be the guy. I'll say this about Josh Huff. He had 11 sacks last year, but a lot of people don't know he only played 40% of the plays. If he's going to be the replacement for Hassan Reddick, who played 70, 75% of the plays, that means that he's going to have to step up and play 70 to 75% of the plays. That he's going to have double-digit sacks, and I'm not talking about 10, I'm talking about 15 or more in order to replace what we lost. Nolan Smith, time to step up. Saying all the right things, talks the talk. It's time for you to walk the walk, my friend, okay? Because the Eagles need the outside pass rush. Josh Sweat, off-season last year, okay? Only had 6 sacks, I believe. That's not good enough. He's got to be a double-digit guy. You know that you're going to get maximum effort from Brandon Graham in his last year, okay? And there may be even some other guys that may step up, but that's the one area, the outside pass rush, that concerns me the most about the Philadelphia Eagles in this upcoming season, this defense. Because if you can't control the line of scrimmage, particularly the middle of the line of scrimmage, you're going to have a hard time playing defense. I don't care whether they're running the ball or whether they're passing the ball. That's just a fact, all right? Let's talk to them. Let's take the first question. Hit me with them, Daniel. All right, Christopher wants to know, where do I see the defense ranking this year? Listen, they're going to be better on the back end of the defense, no doubt. The question is going to be, can they get the pass rush to complement it? It goes hand in hand, okay? The coverage can be great if the pass rush is great, and the pass rush can be great if the coverage is great. So a lot will depend on, how we can get after the pass as a pass rushing team, because I do believe that we're a better secondary. I know that we're going to be better at linebacker. I look for, Devin White to have a heck of a year. First of all, he's playing on a 1-year deal, prove-it deal, trying to get paid. So he's got to play out of his mind. He can rush the passer. He can drop into coverage. He can play the run, okay? He's multifaceted. He's got to be a playmaker. I'm sick and tired of seeing Eagles linebackers play the game, get 125 tackles, and everybody talk about what a great season they had. And they had 1 caused fumble, a half a sack, and maybe an interception. They need better production out of the linebacker position. Okay. So when you talk about where they potentially can rank, nobody knows. We won't know until we see how quickly they pick up Vic Fangio's system and how fast they decipher it and how quickly they can master it. All right. Next question. Crolex26 wants to know, I want to hear what Seth has got to say on the defense. I know the offense can carry their own weight. I want to hear if he thinks the defense can. Well, I think I kind of touched on that a little bit in the last question. I do believe that they can. There's some questions there, and I think that we'll begin to see those questions answered come Friday night at 8:15 and see how they handle an explosive and up-and-coming Green Bay Packers offense. Next question. Ray wants to know, what's my take on Devin White? Kind of gave you that right there. I just think that he can be a difference maker. I'd love to see him return to Pro Bowl, Pro Bowl level play. It's in him. He's still a young player. There's no reason why he can't. He's just got to make up his mind that that's what he wants to do and go about his work to get it done. They slated him as the starter, so there must be something that he's bringing to the table that the coaching staff likes, because, I believe that you go into this offseason and everybody's fighting for a starting job except for the obvious people. But you sign him as a free agent, you bring in Bond, you bring in all these other guys, you draft another linebacker, you got a guy in waiting. He's got to step up and prove that he can be, one of the leaders on the defense. You got to have a guy at that position. Like I've always said, you got to have a linebacker, especially now in an era where teams are mostly 4-2 fronts. You got to have a dominant guy in that middle. Next question. Anthony just wants to know, what's up, Seth? Hey, our outlook on this Eagles season is what's up. Next question. Which Eagle player impressed you in the preseason? Well, hey, listen. I was impressed by Will Shipley on the offensive side of the ball. I'm sure there's some other guys that potentially I missed. I was impressed by him. The Jenkins kid who got cut and then brought back on the practice squad to tight end. I get a sense that he may play a heavier role later in the season. The problem is he's more of a pass-catching tight end, and they already don't throw the ball to Dallas Goedert enough. So we'll see. On the defensive side of the ball, hey, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I mean, what a story that would be if somehow, some way, he played himself into a position where he became a starter. He is a natural linebacker. When you play, there are just things about him that screams he's a linebacker. Some guys, they have specific skills. They're a run stopper, or they're good in coverage, or they're good in zone coverage. But when you watch him play, he's a bona fide 100% full-bred linebacker. His dad did a phenomenal job with him, succeeded at the prep, succeeded at Clemson. And I got an eerie feeling that somewhere down the line, he's going to play a much more prominent role in this defense before the season's over. Okay, next question. Raymond wants to know, how much better will special teams be? Hey, listen, the special teams was pretty darn good last year. Britton Colby was the #1 punt returner in the National Football League last year. Jake Elliott had another heck of a year, got him a new deal. I believe Michael Clay, had the special teams trending in a very, very good direction last year. Now, all they got to do now is maintain it. The kicking game is going to be fine. The punter's good. The kicker's good. The one area I would love to see them improve at, especially, on the kickoff team, is the kickoff coverage. Because the way that the kickoff is set up this year, teams are going to be starting at the 35, 40-yard line. You mess up and screw up these rules, and all of a sudden your opponent's got the ball at the 40-yard line. You're basically, the way these kickers are kicking today, you're basically one first down away from field goal range. So the coverage team is going to be critical, and I would love to see them improve in that area, the punt coverage and the kickoff coverage. If they can improve on that and play all the other areas the way that they played it last year, I think that, we'll be headed in the right direction as far as the special teams concerned. But like I said, they played, in my opinion, they played really good last year. Next question. You guys like that transparent bottle, don't you? I see you looking at it. That's the green screen behind me. Forrest wants to know who's my dark horse player on the offense and the defense. My dark horse player on offense is Dallas Goedert. I just believe that he's a star in waiting, and the previous staffs underutilized him. They tried to rely on, or they did rely on the outside two guys a lot, maybe even too much. Even a lot of the routes that Dallas caught were out routes, out and up routes, crossing routes where he crossed across the formation and catch the ball in the flat. I think that there's some areas in the middle of the field, that Dallas can just dominate this year. And if you guys can go back and remember Kellen Moore in Dallas and what they would do with their tight ends, specifically in the red zone. In the red zone, you're going to get that shake and go, that seam route against cover two. If it's single high safety, you'll get him to bend it out a little more. But I think that Dallas Goedert is on tab for a Pro Bowl season. I really do. They just got to utilize him, and I get it. You're paying A.J. Brown a lot of money. You're paying Devontae Smith a lot of money. And those guys probably command the amount of targets that they're going to get. But in my opinion, you're missing the boat when you don't utilize a guy like Dallas Goedert. I believe that he can be a top 2 or 3 tight end in this league if he got the volume of touches that Travis Kelce got and the type of touches that Laporta and Detroit got, and the kind of touches that Kittle's got in San Francisco. You cannot just throw him the ball once or twice a game and then ask him to block the rest of the time. He is a legitimate weapon in the passing game, and they've got to figure out a way to utilize him on a much larger scale. And just think about this. When he starts to dominate the middle of the field and he starts to be more of a weapon in this offense, it's just going to open things up more on the outside for AJ and Devontae. It just is. It's going to open things up for Saquon out of the backfield. It's going to open things up for Jahan Dotson to actually work, the middle of the field when the focus goes on Dallas Goedert. I think it's just that important. On the defensive side of the ball, listen, I'm a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson fan. I just am. I just think that he's got that dog in him. He reminds me of the safeties that I played with back in the day. He'll hit you. He can cover. He's going to get you some interceptions. He's crafty. I just think that he's a really good safety. And if he can stay healthy, I think that he could be on his way to another Pro Bowl season. And certainly, I would love to see those 6 interceptions he had back in 2022. Okay. Next question. Dre wants to know, what's my thoughts or expectations on the Kobe Dean? Well, listen, I think that the competition will force him to either raise his level of play, or because he can't out-compete the guys that are tabbed as starters and get significant playing time, he'll, fade, to the back recesses and be relegated as a special teams player. Listen, I always thought he was too small. I think a lot of his injuries come from, him being undersized. In the 5-man front, he can operate, and he can be very good in the 5-man front because you can cover all the offensive linemen, and you can allow him to just run to the football and make plays. He's got enough speed and good anticipation and good instincts to understand where the ball is going and get there and make some tackles, make some plays. But in the 4-man front, where linebackers are forced to come on downhill and take on offensive linemen, think about this. If he's 215, 220 at the most, and he's got to come downhill and take on a guy that's 315, 320, okay, at some point, that 100-pound difference is going to take a toll on his body. So when you come down and you take on that blocker, and he's got 100 pounds on you, he's laying on you, you're trying to hold your position. A lot of the lower leg injuries, I believe, happen because he's just not big enough and strong enough, to play in a 4-man front. So we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he can turn the corner, and the competition that's forced upon him makes him have to, step up his game. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. All right. Let's take one more, and then we're going to jump over on the whiteboard, and I'm going to give you guys, a look at some 4-man front, some 5-man front, and maybe even I'll draw up a zero blitz to give you guys an idea of what Jalen was facing last year. Okay, one more question. Reef 98 wants to know what's my prediction for the game. Hey, listen, very rarely am I going to bet against the Eagles. I got to see something that makes me say that they can't win that football game. I think the Eagles are, -3 is the line right now. It was, earlier today. And before I even saw the line, that's kind of what I was looking at. The Eagles, winning the game on a late field goal, winning the game 25-28. Okay, that's my take. All right, so let's jump over on the whiteboard right quick, and then let's jump into some of the things that I talked about earlier. So let's talk about some 5-man front. And one of the reasons why I focus on the 5-man front so much is because, the Eagles have had problems, stopping the run the last couple of years. Jordan Davis is here, okay? I would assume that Jalen Carter is going to be playing in this 3 technique right here for the majority of the season. And then that's wrong. Let's start over. There, and 3 technique. Okay, that's more like it. So, Jalen Carter is going to be playing this 3 technique. Jordan Davis has got to dominate right here in the 5-man front. The problem with the 5-man front is if you got 5, now that only means you've got 6 on the backside. So you got the 2 linebackers, okay, corner, slot, corner, safety. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Nope. Let's get rid of one of these safeties, okay? So now that puts you at a deficit on the back end, okay? So you're either man-to-man, okay, which is a dead giveaway, and you can't play man-to-man all the time. Or you got to play a little more zone. And the zone is a dead giveaway. Why? Because this guy's got to drop to the flat, hook player, okay, flat player, okay, and he's back, depending on what kind of coverage you're playing. Now you got, 6 guys in the coverage. But when you come out like this all the time, teams are going to know that this is the type of coverage that you have to play, okay, opposed to being, in a 5-man front, okay. Four-man front, I should say. I just covered the 5-man, okay? Now, the 5-man, you can see the holes and the difficulties because more times than not, you're going to get the tight end to seal down. You're going to get a double team here. You're going to get a double team here, or he's going to chip, or you're going to get the double team here and he's going to work up. The double team is going to work off, okay? So now you pretty much got a hat on a hat. That makes it difficult, for your linebackers. Because you got to figure out, okay, you got the double team here. If the ball flows this way, he's got to get downhill now, and he's got to get downhill and get in between the tight end and this tackle who's going to try to come off, okay? The problems in the passing game, the benefits in the passing game is you got corner, and 2 safeties now, okay? So now when you want to drop into your coverages, you got a flat player, a hook player, or you can rotate get that safety over the top here, that safety there. So now you're much stronger against the pass. And even if you want to play man out of this type of look, okay, you got a wide receiver, slot, wide receiver, back in the backfield, okay, quarterback, okay. You want to go man to man, he's locked up, okay. This safety, you got a linebacker who can cover here, and they can in and out between the tight end and the running back here between the linebackers. He releases inside, that's his man. He releases here, that's his man. But you got man across the board, and you can play two high safety, okay. If you don't like that because you don't like the matchups with your tight end, okay, now all you got to do is roll that safety down late, okay. He can in and out with the tight end and the linebacker, or he can lock on the tight end. Okay. And the back's in and out on the running back. If the running back comes this way, the linebacker's got him, okay. Back goes this way, linebacker's got him. Now you go to single high safety, and you got man across the board. These are the problems, and these are the issues in a lot of ways that plagues the Eagles in their 4 and their 5-man front, you know. And just to go back to the 5-man front for just to the 4-man front for 1 second, the difficulty against the run in this situation is where your linebackers fit. And the Eagles have had problems with this for quite some time, okay? So he's going to stuff, and he's got contained. He's stuffing, and he's got contained. So that means you're going to get double teams, okay? And depending on which way the ball is flowing, you know, the linebackers are either going to, you know, you're either going to have a double team. Let's say the ball's coming this way. You're going to get a double team. He's going to work up on the backer, okay? Even if they decide to keep the double team here, this linebacker's flowing, the center's got him cut off, okay? So that means that your safety or your slot corner, let's just say that the slot corner is on this side, okay? The slot corner has to be forced here. He's going to have to force. He's either going to have to force outside if the ball gets outside, or if the end gets upfield and he gets cut off, here's the running lane, he's going to have to force in here, okay? If he's late, it's a problem. If he gets cut off, it's a problem. Now the safeties that are lined up deep, now they've got to come into the mix. So now you can kind of see some of the issues and some of the things that the Eagles have been facing on the offensive side of the ball. Hopefully they can get those things remedied, you know, this upcoming season, okay? Now, let's talk about the zero blitz, okay? Here's your center, okay? Here's Jalen, backs offset. The Eagles like to run a lot. They see a lot of zero blitz when they take Dallas Goedert and they detach him from the formation, okay? So you got 4 wide receivers into the route, including the tight end, okay? So you got man coverage across the board. Man coverage across the board, okay? Here's your end, linebacker. End, tackle, okay? And where's your safeties, okay? So a lot of times what you'll get is this guy come off the corner, so the safety's got to replace him in coverage, okay? This guy's up the field. He's in that gap. He's in that gap. He's up the field. You got a linebacker hitting the B gap, and you got a linebacker hitting the A gap, okay? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So either this guy, or maybe even this guy is going to be the free runner, okay? So the intent is to get up the field and keep Jalen in the pocket. And one of these free runners, because the back's got to pick up, one of these free runners are running right at Jalen, okay? So you have no remedy whatsoever if you're going to run go routes in this scenario all the time and try to hit big plays. Okay. What I just don't understand is when the Eagles see this and this safety starts to creep, why don't you just run an out route and run the wide receiver off? Okay. You got Dallas Goedert. Okay. Run him on a crossing route and make this safety chase. Jalen can hit him right here. Okay. We saw a couple of times in zero coverage where, you had Devontae running a crossing route, from the slot position. These are the types of things that I'm talking about. Okay. You can also take this wide receiver the minute that he shows blitz. Now he's got a blitz pickup. So if that running back releases, even if that back's got him, that's an easy throw and catch. Wouldn't you love to have Saquon Barkley out here with the ball in zero coverage with a linebacker trying to run with him? Okay. But the Eagles' mentality over the last couple of years have been, we're going to take shots down the field against zero blitz. And when you got a guy that's running at your quarterback in your quarterback's face, and he doesn't have an immediate read, somewhere to throw the ball right now, it's going to be problematic for him. It's going to be really, really problematic. And this right here, in my opinion, is one of the main reasons, in my opinion, why Jalen struggled so much. They had zero answer or adjustment for this all season long. And when teams figured out that they had no answer for it, in the last 6 games of the season, you begin to see more and more and more of it, and it just perpetuated itself because the Eagles refused to go to hot reads, sight adjustments, and things like that. Just a simple route like this, okay? Little rub route out, little in route. They're not going to switch it off. You got A.J. Brown on this slant route, a rub route all day long. Every other team in the National Football League runs some variation of this, except for the Eagles. I look for Kellen Moore, okay, this season to remedy this problem. And if he does, Jalen Hurts is going to be on his way to another MVP season, in my opinion. All right? All righty. We got about 7 minutes left. Let's jump back into some more questions. I hope you guys enjoyed that. As the weeks go on, I'm going to continue to do some of this stuff. And what I need for you guys to do is be a little more interactive with me. You guys kind of jump on before the show starts and kind of give me an idea of what you want me to break down. I love this stuff. This is more my wheelhouse than just me talking to you guys. But I want to answer your questions. But I also want to break down some things, and potentially help teach you guys some things about what's really going on the field so that you can understand the game better and you can enjoy the game a lot better. All right, let's go. JM wants to know, I got to turn on notifications. Why? Okay.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, please like and subscribe. I didn't even throw that at you guys. Hey, listen, please go to the Seth Joyner Show YouTube page, like and subscribe. There's a lot more going on. Next week, I'm going to have some promos built in, but I got a brand new pre and post game show that's going to be right here on my YouTube channel and 6abc.com streaming app every single game day starting this Friday. Me, Derek Gunn, and Mark Farzetta are teaming up doing our own pre and post game show live for you guys from Parks Casino. Bet Parks is our title sponsor. It is the Parks pre and post game show presented by Pond Hockey at Parks Casino. And you guys, hey, listen, come on out and join us at Parks Casino if you want to see it live. Seth Joyner Show is still rolling every Wednesday and Thursday night on PHL 17 at 11 p.m. and over on NBC Sports Philly on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. There's my plug, my shameless plug for all the shows and everything I got going on. Oh, I'll be on WIP with Joe and John on Mondays like I was all last year. And I'll be on Wednesdays with for a quick hit with Gilio and Hugh Douglas on Wednesdays. All right, so now you guys know exactly where I am. If you need that schedule, you can go to SethJoyner.com. It's already up. Tell you where I'm going to be all week, every week throughout the entire season. Okay, another question. Joe Witt wants to know, do I expect more blitzing this season? Seems Vic brought more pressure in the preseason. Very, very observant of you, Joe. Good job. Listen, I was shocked because for the last 5 years, everybody's been telling us that this bend but don't break soft corners was Vic Fangio's scheme. So when they hired him, I was like, oh my God, here we go. This is how we're going to play defense again? Is this really his scheme? No, sir, it is not. Somebody lied and had us to buy into the BS. Because I watched Vic Fangio all preseason long calling linebacker blitzes, slot blitzes. And I'm like, that's not what we were told Vic Fangio's scheme was. So, yes, I expect for him to be a lot strategically, a lot more aggressive. And I love it. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, because everybody thinks that I want today's football to be like football in my day. It's a different animal. It's a different deal. I get it. You can't blitz all the time, but there are times in every single game where you have the opportunity to put the quarterback under duress. The same way that you've seen in zero coverage. That's exactly what we should be doing to other teams. There's times where you can scheme a blitz in a way where you bring a free runner at the quarterback. And the quarterback's got one read and one read only, okay? If he doesn't make the right decision, it's an interception, it's an incompletion, or he's on his back, okay? And I want to see some of that from Vic Fangio. I believe you will see it because not only are you seeing some blitzes that he's bringing the linebackers, bringing both linebackers, bringing a guy off the slot underneath, and up the field in, but he runs a lot of simulated pressure where it looks like they're coming and all of a sudden they drop out and the quarterback makes a bad decision because he thinks the blitz is coming, but they sugar and they come out. They've got the ability with the type of rush guys that they're going to have on the end to run simulated pressures where it looks like guys are coming inside and you drop off, a Bryce Huff or you drop off a Nolan Smith into the flat, so now you've got the protection that's been set to the side where the dropper is dropping from. That means that there's shorter guy on the other side. You're going to start to see some of that stuff, because I've already seen it in preseason. I promise you, Vic hasn't shown you his full complement. There's a lot. The coverages are going to be disguised. The multiplicity of their coverages, where you can play zone on one side and man on the other side, especially out of nickel and dime, because the biggest concern is to the zone side is having that number 3 wide receiver on that side cross over into the man side. Well, you just put a defensive back in that position that can run with anything that you send that way, whether it's a slot receiver or whether it's a tight end. You're going to see some of that stuff from Vic Fangio, the multiple coverages, the disguises that's going to give the rush a chance to get there. So I love that question. Very observant that you picked that up in the preseason. All right. We got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, I think, if I don't talk too long. Next question. Todd wants to know, what's my take on Jordan Love? Hey, listen, there was a time where everybody thought that they made a mistake. I think he proved a lot of people wrong last season. And he damn near, took Green Bay to the Super Bowl last year. I felt like they could have won that football game had Matt LaFleur coached a little differently down the stretch. But he's a heck of a player. You see a lot of Aaron Rodgers in him. You see he learned a lot from Aaron Rodgers, the way he throws the ball, the way he moves and throws the ball, the way he adjusts his arm angle and throws the football. He's got a lot of Aaron Rodgers traits that have been born and bred inside of him. And not for nothing, they got 3 young wide receivers, man, that can just flat out fly and make plays all over the place. This is going to be a big challenge for the Philadelphia Eagles, a big challenge. And then they signed Josh Jacobs, which gives them, legitimacy in the running game. Matt LaFleur likes to run the football. So there's going to be a challenge. They're going to be challenged in the run game, and it's certainly going to be challenged in the pass game with these 3 up-and-coming wide receivers that they got. Romeo Doubs, Christian, can't remember Christian's last name. I mean, it's 3 of them, and they can flat out, Romeo Doubs, sorry about that. they can flat out fly, and they can make any single time that they touch the ball, they can take it to the house. So we're going to see what the Eagles are made of. All right. One more question before we shut it all the way down to next week. All right, Seth, if the pass rush is legit on this team, the defense can be special. I agree. Mitchell looks to have great instincts as a corner. Yes, and I agree with playing him and getting him some experience on the inside and preparing him for the day when you decide to move on from Darius Slay. I do believe he's going to be that guy on the outside. We're yet to find out, what Cooper DeJean is going to be, just because he missed so much time in training camp that you just don't know. Now, he has the versatility to play safety. He has the versatility to play on the outside, but he also has the versatility to play in the slot, which gives them great a Swiss Army knife that they can plug and play in a myriad of different positions. But I think at the end of the day, I'm excited to see what Quinyon Mitchell, what he's going to do. He's a competitor. So I expect for him to get up in people's face and challenge them at every turn. But I think that, the Eagles secondary for the first time in a long time is in a very good position, not only because of the amount of, potential starters that they have, but from a competition standpoint, every single week it's going to be one of those situations where when a guy doesn't step up, the question is going to be asked, hey, can this other guy step in and actually get the job done? All right. That's the show for tonight. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. This is back on a regular basis. Tell everybody where we are, what we're doing. I'll be here every single Tuesday night, live on every single platform that you can think of. I wasn't on Twitter tonight or X just because, we had some technical difficulties, but I will be live back on there next week. More than anything, the YouTube page, again, the Seth Joyner Show on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Go to SethJoyner.com for all the info on where I'm going to be every single day of the week. Tune in. Next week, I'll give you guys some promos on the new pre- and post-game show with my guys, Mark Farzetta and Derek Gunn. What else? I think that's it, man. Listen, this feels good, man. Feels good to be back. Feels good to be getting ready for kicking off another Eagle season. We love our Flyers, we love our Sixers, and we're rooting for our Phillies, but there ain't nothing like Philadelphia Eagles football. And I'm excited for Friday night at 8:15 from Sao Paulo, Brazil, the Green Bay Packers versus your Philadelphia Eagles. I'll see you guys next week. Same place, same time. Peace.
Most people don't know how to get the care they need. The experts at Stay at Home Care can help. Before choosing a caregiver or family member for your care, you need to apply for the Home Care Program. The application process can be complicated. Stay at Home Care can help you navigate through every step. Once approved, your caregiver or family member will receive guaranteed weekly pay, a variety of medical benefits options, paid holidays, paid vacation, and overtime pay. Call Stay at Home Care, here to help every step of the way.
This is Seth Joyner, top analyst for the Birds. I've also analyzed the best auto dealerships, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Get to Davis Honda now and fall into savings. Lease a new 2024 Prologue EV for just $299 per month. See why Davis Honda continues to win outstanding awards for sales and service, including the highest award from Honda, the President's Award, 2 years in a row. Fall into savings right now at Davis Honda. Feel the Davis difference at Davis Honda in Burlington.
I'm Seth Joyner, and I drive a Davis Honda.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
The Excite Center at Parks Casino, the region's hottest live entertainment venue. Check out your favorite concerts, comedy, boxing, MMA, all at the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. Don't miss Funny Man JB Smoove on Saturday, September 14th, plus Straight No Chaser on Friday, October 18th. Don't miss these 2 exciting headliners, only at the Excite Center inside Parks Casino. Parks Casino, this is how you win. Tickets on sale now.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.